Hello, everyone. How is the pre-mingle energy? Is it good? Is it up? Yeah? All right. I know you're all ready for a drink and a beer. And I'm the second to last or something, but bear with me. I promise this is going to be very exciting. Because today I'm going to tell you about digital humans. It's an innovation that we came across in early 2020, so beginning of COVID, and is something that we believe is going to be really big. It's also something that I'm personally very excited about, and if anything, I want to give some of that excitement to you today. That feeling that you may have discovered something new, right? Now, the title of this session predicts something very futuristic, and maybe it is, but we're going to start with the basics. What is a digital human? And what are the design challenges that these creatures may create? And what do we think is the key aspect to solving that? And I say we quite deliberately because I brought a friend.
Hey, Ella. I'm Anna, and I'm a digital human. People say I'm a digital twin of Maddie, but I think I look better. What do you think? It's nice to see so many faces in the room. There have been some seriously impressive ladies up here, so thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak. I must admit, following on from these amazing people is pretty daunting, even for a computer. Now we are going to tell you about me, my technology, and how I may change your future. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. Take it away, Maddie.
All right. I think she looks better too, but hey. So what is a digital human? A digital human is an avatar with human-like features. So it has a tone of voice, facial expressions, hair, pores, wrinkles, and it's voice-driven. So you speak to it as you would to a real human as well. So you can really, for the first time, mimic human-like interaction, but then at the scale of 24/7, because they never get grumpy and they never get tired. So as you can imagine, the visual side of the technology comes from the movie and gaming industry, but has been plugged in with conversational AI. Because at its core, a digital human is a chatbot that is plugged into a visual layer. And in between those two layers, we program emotion and personality so that it shows the right emotion at the right point in the conversation. So you can basically see it as someone asks a question, it goes to an AI script that we trained, looks for the answer and how it should answer it within its personality, and gives that back. Now, in other parts of the world, digital humans are already working. For the World Health Organization, for USB Bank, Kiehl's Skincare, City of Tokyo, so all not small organizations. But in Europe, there is only a few. And the digital humans that we've made mostly work in healthcare. So we've made, for instance, a psychologist or an elderly care nurse. And I think it's kind of cool that healthcare is a front runner in this. They're not often, maybe. But what is the value of these creatures, right? Why do you need that visual layer? Why is it different from a chatbot? Well, based on research, we believe it does two things. First of all, it creates trust in a way quite similar to how we build trust with real humans. So they did research with veterans in the United States who had post-traumatic stress disorder and had them speak to a real therapist, a chatbot, and a digital human. And what they found was that people were twice as likely to disclose personal trauma to a digital human because it combines two key elements to trust in a relationship. The first is emotional mirroring, right? So you get an emotional response back when you say something. The second is it created a sense of safety because it's still anonymous. There's not a human judging you on the other end. It's still a system, right? And the two combined made that people trusted the system really quickly. But secondly, it does that at the scale of chatbots. So because it combines different digital channels like chat, voice, email, however you want to reach it, it can really take that step between reaching a real human agent. So it just has much more scale than humans can ever reach. But obviously that takes time, right? Same as with real humans. It takes time and effort and some parenting skills. to raise a mature digital human. So you can consider its first baby steps to be, for instance, a frequently asked questions customer service bot. And then as you give it protocols and product information, it starts learning until eventually it can handle complex problems. And maybe even at some point, you can create a full brand ambassador. So someone that can really represent your organization, ask any question at any time from any customer. But what if you need to put a face to that ambassador? One face for your entire organization. And now we're going to do a real quick test. Anyone shout out. Who would you want as your nurse? Any thoughts? A woman? Any particular one? Top right? You're right. All healthcare organizations have chosen her to be a pretty young nurse. And we've had a financial institution ask for the older white male to be a financial advisor. So are you going to break or confirm stereotypes? And what are... Yes, amen. And what are they? And even if you've been able to choose a face, how do you translate your organizational values to a personality? Now, all of us are apparently, according to psychology, a mix of these 5 personality traits. And I already found it tricky enough to figure out my mix, right? And maybe to the outside world, I want to pretend that I'm a little less neurotic than I maybe actually am. So how do you do that for an entire organization, right? So let's see how that comes through on screen and what it does to your perceptional stereotypes.
As you can see from my clothing, I'm designed to be a nurse. People might stereotype me as empathetic, agreeable, and soft-spoken. However, my makers gave me quite a sassy, extroverted, and outspoken persona. I might pop a bad joke when someone isn't feeling well. Would you still want me as your nurse? And what if I switch faces? I'm now Max, but with my same level of sassiness. How am I doing breaking stereotypes?
But what if I become another Max with my own voice and personality? I'm actually an introvert. I prefer to listen rather than speak. I am kind and a people pleaser. I am here to serve and help with whatever you need. Unfortunately, I'm not as funny as Anna. Perhaps I actually would be a better nurse than Anna, but would people prefer me?
Now remember, all of that, the entire personality, we program in that script that I told you about before. But what if the digital human doesn't have an answer? Well, since a few months, we actually have a game changer for that, because we've been able to plug it in with GPT, Open AI. You've probably heard it 1,000 times today. But the beauty of that is it will always give back a response. You can have an endless conversation with it, right? But it also brings about a complexity. Because I think we've all tried to give ChatGPT some weird prompts, right? Say something funny or say something Shakespearean or like a mobster would say it. But I've asked OpenAI if it allows for a consistent personality. And the answer was clear. It doesn't. It actually says I am based on and meant to reflect humankind as a whole. And I think that raises a very interesting new question and maybe even a whole new area of design. Because how do you capture a consistent personality, a specific soul, in a system that is meant to reflect humankind as a whole? And I think that's actually where I found my place in tech. Because I'm not techie at all, right? I can't write a single line of code. There's days that I can barely find my inbox. But these are fundamentally questions that are deeply human, questions about experience. And they need to be answered by women, and by many diversities, for that matter. Because we shouldn't let other people define this. Then you get stuck in the thinking that a financial advisor is an older white male, and a nurse is a pretty young woman. We shouldn't let specific groups write up the personality and experience for instance, black females and Arabic males. Because if you want to get the representation to really resonate, diversity really can't be some sort of fancy management buzzword. It needs to be a core part of your design process. So as conversational and visual AI are merging and becoming more advanced, so will the design challenges. Because at some point we might be designing for a very specific human, right? Your grandfather or your partner. And I think if digital humans are meant to reflect entire organizations and maybe even real humans, it really matters who raises them. Thanks.
Thanks you.